then that disaster outside of you could defeat you. And so, with that being said, what I wanted to go on that is, um, when Hurricane Harvey happened to me, I lost everything. And not only that, because of the spiritual quest, my spiritual conquest that I had started that year, Hurricane Harvey started towards the end, towards the fall. Started that year, I had completely separated myself from society. So no Facebook, no phone, no nothing like that. So I lost a lot of connections. And in that sense, I was completely by myself during the disaster. And of course, the Lord God had me. Um, and in that sense, it was because of what I had worked on in the beginning of the year with my spiritual quest, and because I had completely lost touch with all of my social bridges. Nothing, like, there was a change in me where since there was no detailing, I really got in touch with myself, and because of that, I got to control my. I got to learn about my feelings and emotions, attitudes, and putting myself in situations where I'm alone for the first time in a long time, because everyone can always be with people now, but you're alone, and instead of feeling uh, lonely, you can be alone and not feel lonely. Yeah, you can feel alone and feel gratified. And that right there was a very strong um, virtualization of my attitude that helped when the hurricane happened and all my stuff was gone. I had no money. Like, I only had a little bit of money. I had, thank God, like some friends up the street, but they were in the same neighborhood, so their house was gone. But because of that, I was able to adjust a lot quicker and uh, get through it on my own and help other people around. Right? Um, I was able to be a beacon of strength for people who didn't have the practice on how to do that. And because of that, they could be true to their truth of feeling devastating and lost, but I could be a beacon of uplifting and help, even though I was in the same situation as them, and still take care of myself and take care of other people. And right there is being selfless, but it's also strengthening in entirety, right? You're not thinking of yourself less because you're helping someone in a situation, but you're thinking less of your, or you're not thinking less of yourself, you're thinking of yourself less, and in that sense, you are expanding, and encouraging, adding heart to someone whose heart just got devastated and shattered, even though yours should be devastated and shattered, but you have already that fortitude inside of you with the wealth, not the riches, but the wealth, the true power of who you are and what you are capable of. And so, in that sense, getting in touch with your attitude when something that is unprecedented happen. We are good at working through our lives as they are now in the worldly sense, the community sense, the rules, the protocols, and the regulations, the very ethos, the zeitgeist, and the laws that help to maintain a civilized where you live, right? And that keeps everything at a level of comfort. And comfortability is a nice feeling, but it could be a really devastating enemy if you don't become aware of it. If something doesn't jog you out of it, you can turn into a cognitive dissonance. And that's where you get people who have volcanoes in their backyard and they're still thinking like a hurricane type of disaster or something that will happen, devastate, and pass. Unprecedented, yeah? Like, you never had a volcano in the backyard. It's not going to stop. What makes you think that you're going to be able to stop something that is of nature so powerful? It's such a titan. Um, uh, it's kind of, if you think about it that way, futile. Yeah? So, like, leave your material possessions, but it's hard to let go of things that are outside of you that you have not only sentimentality, and it worked, it reminds you of what you have built for yourself, but it also, um, the attachment there keeps you away from your true wealth, because it's nothing outside of you that has made you. It is your attitudes towards wanting to get there, right? And in that sense, that is what you want to focus on now while you're in the comfort of being able to do that. Yeah, not when the disaster has come, and then now you have to dig deeper when you have a life-shattering type of situation where, oh, just yesterday you were living in your comfort and feeling on top of the world, and in 24 hours, nothing. Third world country, nothing. Yeah, and so how to jeopardize that? And the one thing um, I know that helped me go through my situation with Hurricane Harvey was one, facing the truth about my emotions, right? But doing that in private. Um, there's some people who want to, and those people who want to cry and yell and scream and just like feel sorrow, feel it, and you can feel it outside and like have people see you. I don't. That is what you want to feel. But me knowing that I already was prepared for something like this, where everyone else was not, it would have been unwise of me to have them see that type of level in my real sense. Like in the truth of how I really felt about losing stuff, I would go off on my own and sob like and feel my pity. I felt pity for me. I felt sorrow. I felt loss. I felt devastation. I felt, what am I going to do? I felt confusion, life-shattering event. The carpet got swept up from under you. You're falling down. No one's there to help you up. Are you on your back? Are you on your front? Are you on your head? Are you on your feet? Like, you don't even know. You're completely confused. I did all of that, emoting in my truth in private. And then so when I faced the world, it wasn't me hiding from them not showing my true emotion. I was in touch with my true emotion, but I got it out over there because there's enough of that over here. And I want to bring something new, something stronger, something that can completely empathize with them. You can, and truth. But at the same time, they see you as someone who is stronger, And so that's what the first part is, like being truth and honest to yourself. If you're like, going secret, if you want to try and be a leader or someone as a beacon of hope for people. But if you don't want to, then do it right there. Let them see you. You can still be the beacon of hope, but it might take a little bit longer for them to trust you, seeing that you are as weak. Or maybe that's just me because I look really ugly when I cry, But at the same time, so one is getting in touch with that emotion and knowing that it's okay to feel the truth about that. You want to go into something so devastating in truth. You don't want to try to fight your emotions or make an affirmation that it sounds hollow, like, oh yes, I'll go get past this. Oh, you used to be able to use those affirmations, but it wasn't a life-shattering devastation. It was just a little bit of an obstacle. When you have something that just devastates everything, that's not an obstacle. That's a disaster. That's chaos. That's nothing. That's nothing. And if you had worked so hard to get there, you feel like a waste. Like what did all that time, and it's a hard thing to conceptualize, right? And it's so funny because when I was reading the comments on some of the videos that was showing these disasters and the people's reaction who's living through these disasters right now, who's having this experience, a lot of the comments were right, but they're not worthy. They weren't worthy. It's not the time for that, right? And so like one type of comment was like, well, at least you're alive, right? Yeah, of course, at least they're alive, but right now they want to feel like they're dead. Like they don't want to feel alive because those emotions are a lot. So that's not the time to say that, and it's kind of haughty. It's kind of arrogant for you to just say like, well, count your blessings, This is a devastation, not just a obstacle that you can just I didn't pay my electricity bill, I can turn it back on. It's nobody has electricity like that, And then the second one that I noticed was more on a religious connotation. This is to do with virtue itself. It's too early for this type of virtue where it's store up for yourselves treasures. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal, right? So it's like, material possessions and have no attachments to the world. And so you should already know that. That is not the time to say that, Right now, it's too devastating. And so people are emoting wrong, like they're wanting them to get over it when it just happened. And getting over something without really feeling yourself, you're going to miss out the correct reason why this had to happen. because in a lot of senses, when something like a disaster happens and your life shatters, one of the things you want to try to look at is, why is this happening to me, right? That was what I would ask. I had my pity party, you know, why is this happening to me? Like, I thought I was doing everything right. But in that sense, if someone's telling you to move on, you haven't stopped to question and really look at it, instead of looking at it and seeing it as a exclamation of being pathetic with yourself, in an empathetic way, but it's hollow, kind of, right? It's more like a redundancy, like, you know what I mean? And so, in that sense, that first step of being truth and honest to how you feel, a sense of sorrow, loss, sadness, devastation, and grief, feel it to the heart and the core in truth. Don't neglect yourself. Don't reprimand yourself. Say it in truth, not hate. Say it in truth, not rage. Say it in truth, not what's that called? Disgust of it's something happened. And in that sense, what you will be able to do is start beginning to put together the reasons why something like this happened, and that is the mystery of it. That's you now having to pretty much psych yourself out in order for you to give it a reason. And when you start with a reason, you will have a reason to go on. You'll have a reason to heal faster. You'll have a reason to put yourself together faster. And if you can do that now with everything comfortable outside yourself, when something like this happens, you'll be a strength, a beacon, a leader, someone who is in truth, honesty, up to the empathy of what everything is happening, but at the same time, you will have the correct words of how you can communicate it to somebody who doesn't want to listen to anything because it's too raw, right? And so that was the other one about that. The virtuous side, it's too soon for you to tell someone, well, you had an attachment to a worldly possession, and you should know that you have to leave everything behind. It's too much. And then the other one was, this is a punishment for you. God is punishing you. All that stuff. No, He's not. God, what you see and what these people who are like punishment, karma, it's not such as that. With God, this is not a judgment. This is a delay. It's not a denial. It is, He knows the perfect step to do, no matter if you cannot understand it outside of yourself, that will keep you in a perseverance